Hello, Commander, and welcome to the Radio Sidewinder talk show. I'm Commander Felix Jefferson, and as usual, I am joined by...
I'm Commander Stephen Atronach, and today we have a special guest with us.
Commander Arbitration.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, great to be here, guys.
So, you have been with Radio Sidewinder for a long time, like one of the earliest members out there. Can you tell us how you got involved with Radio Sidewinder?
Yeah, it was back in maybe January or February 3301. I was a new commander in the galaxy, and I was just getting on my feet, getting out of my Sidewinder, and I saw an ad by one Mr. Blackbart, who's the CEO of the station, and he was looking for reporters. And he had just started up the station. It was him and Maris was doing the Gallant News reports. They wanted a roving reporter to go out and talk to people and go to events and see what people were saying. And it really kind of intrigued me because it was a unique role, because there's so many roles to play. You could be a miner, you could be an explorer, you could be a trader, bounty hunter, any combination of those things, pirate. And those roles are kind of, very traditional and kind of well-defined, but being a reporter is something that's a little more unique, and so it kind of appealed to me. And I answered his ad. My first report was the big Lu War, if you remember back in 3301.
Oh, wow.
And it was really exciting. We got to get in the middle of these battle zones in my Sidewinder, unarmed, talking to people. Sometimes that didn't end so well for the Sidewinder.
That's what insurance is for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, Sidewinder, our company cars are pretty cheap, so they're not they're not too expensive. But the first reports were pretty bad. We were still getting used to it. But Cold Glider came along really soon after that and helped us clean up our audio act, and we've been going ever since.
So, what was the general situation as other venues of entertainment then? Like, was Lave around? Was
Skarsgård?
I don't know. Scores, all of those other ones, or was Radio Sidewinder kind of on their own back then?
No, I think Radio Sidewinder is kind of the pirate signal. We started off actually Black Bart. Started off as a member of the Code, and Radio Sidewinder started as their pirate radio.
Oh.
Because Lave Radio had already been well established. They've been around for a long, long time. Well before Pilots Federation licenses were being, generally issued. It was only for kind of very select group of commanders. So they've been around for a long time. Yeah, but there weren't so many other stations. Now there's a lot of different media outlets that are going on. But we've been around for a while now, and so we have a nice listener base.
It's pretty awesome. And then I think it's important, to have many different forms of entertainment out there, because it's hard to just choose one. I mean, I've listened to Radio Lave before, and while I appreciate the work they do, it's not quite, what I'm always down to listen to, but I usually find what I'm looking for in Radio Sidewinder. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but, I do enjoy our programming. So... aside from your role as a roving reporter, I mean, your role has expanded considerably within the organization since you started. How much more do you take care of on a day-to-day basis?
Well, yeah, my role has kind of expanded as I've been here longer. Right now, I guess my official title is News Desk Lead. I'm in charge of original reports, going out and talking to people. There's a couple other people that also do reports from time to time. Right now we've got Commander Rysick, Commander Maris that are doing reports, and so they'll send the reports into me, and then I'll produce them. I also kind of manage the Galnet desk, and we've got several of our staff that work the Galnet desk. We've got Bewario, Elmseeker, Loggy Boy, Mechajin, who also makes some songs, Merc, who also makes some songs for the station, Milriad, Serfia, and Yojimbo-san. They're all kind of take turns doing the bot wrangling. Our bots, Computer Pete, Robot Rachel, and our new one, Android Alex, out in Colonia. They do great work, but they kind of need someone to keep them in line. So those guys kind of take...
AI is not, super fleshed out yet, is it?
Yeah, they kind of have a mind of their own still, so... we need somebody to keep them in line. So those guys do a great job of wrangling the bots. Then we put them up on the air. In addition to the radio station, I'm also one of the Secretaries of Systems in the Radio Sidewinder crew, the Minor faction. Black Bart is, of course, the head of state, and myself and Cold Glider are the Secretaries of System, and we help manage the Minor faction and our standing in the galaxy.
Cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
Now, what drove you guys to choose Tago as a starting system? I mean, besides the fact that it sounds like one of my favorite foods.
Yeah, you should come by and get a Tago taco if you're down there.
Oh, I would definitely will.
Yeah, they're very good.
Well,
I flew out there just recently, but
well, the Tago system is very well placed, that we felt, in the galaxy. It's kind of right in between the Alliance, the Federation, and the Empire. It's within striking distance of all of those different powers, but it's not really in any of those powers. We felt it was just kind of a good middle point to operate from.
Now, as far as major powers go, do you have a preference, and does that affect how you do your job?
Well, as most people might know, I am a loyal Federation pilot. However, Radio Sidewinder... Although Radio Sidewinder has people from all different walks of life. We have Imperials, we have Alliance guys, we have pirates. So there's everybody from all parts of the galaxy. They all go out and wear different hats, but they all come back to Tago and put their Radio Sidewinder hat on.
Just leave your work at work.
Right.
Ask him maybe more about his involvement in the recent Salome event.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
You were out there with him, right, Felix?
Yeah, I was out there recently for the Salome event, just trying to get some press for it, but it didn't really end up going too well for me. But how did it go for you, Arb?
Well, when we've received word that Salome was making her way back into the bubble, it kind of sent everybody into a scramble, one side or another. There were people that went out there to try and protect her. Mm-hmm. There were people that went out there to try and kill her. It was a really big mess, to be honest. There were some groups that were very well organized. There were some groups that were just pulling anybody over that wasn't them and killing them. It was... if you looked at the galaxy map and you look at, all the transponders out there, you saw just this big angry green blob following Salome through space. So, I tried to do my best to get out there, but it was so chaotic. I never saw her in local space. I was kind of seeing one wing of commanders on this side and then another wing of commanders on this side, but never really seeing them meet each other. So, I was just out there in my reporting Sidewinder, the RSV Cronkite. It's unarmed, so that people know that I'm just there to report. And I got some interesting perspectives, but unfortunately, I was not able to see any of the action, at least firsthand. Of course, we all saw the videos go out on the Galnets, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to see anything.
Yeah, it was quite a mess.
Well, we will be right back, Commander. We have to take a quick break for some commercials, but after that, we will continue the show.
La Viande Brandy, Ezuseku Caviar, Eranin Pearl Whiskey, names that bear evocation of luxury and prestige. But for me, true prestige can only be found in Kamitra cigars, hand-rolled from a selection of the best leaves and ready to smoke out of the box. Specially treated to allow safe smoking, even in the cockpit, without overloading your life support module. Kamitra cigars, the best way to end your days.
This hour of Radio Sidewinder is sponsored by Void Extract Coffee. We harness the power of the vacuum of space to enrich comet water and create a beverage noted for its unparalleled potency and flavor. Available in dark, medium, and light roast, and brand new Void Extract Iced Coffee. It's the cold quaff with a kick. That's Void Extract Coffee.
welcome back to the Radio Sidewinder Talk Show.
All right, so recently there's been a bit of federal and imperial conflict out in the Maia system. It seems like the Maia system, just every time it seems to finally fall out of the news, it feels like it has to get its way back in somehow. They're just mainly they're building extra stations out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it's part of this whole war that's been going on for a couple, I don't know, months right now.
It's been a little bit.
Seems like it's been going on forever now, but I mean, yeah, the Federation's trying to cover up all the barnacles and have greater influence out in the Pleiades and make sure that they hide it. Yeah, okay, well,
I mean,
I don't want to offend our other host here.
I don't think that's necessarily right, but I will say that in this particular case, I think the Federation went about it a better way. They needed supplies delivered. The Empire needed supplies delivered. The Federation had a nice size station a few systems closer than Maia to bring all their points to, and the Empire's like, we're just gonna have an outpost somewhere way out in the middle of nowhere in Maia, and even if you bring us several hundred tons, we're just not gonna have room for it. So just make sure that you bring a small ship and get way out there. It just made it so much harder, I think, to do. I think they could have been a bit more efficient with their placement.
Yeah, I mean, but that also could be just due to the fact of the distance between the Federation space and the Imperial space. I mean, and the Federation already has such a strong foothold there, so I guess I could see why it would be harder for, the Empire to actually set up a base that's equal to the Federation's, presence.
Yeah, last time I went to Maia was with you, and SDC was out there in force, and we were kind of like, is it really worth it right now to go all the way out there and do something we don't really want to do and then get shot at by random dog crew members? It's like, nah.
That was no random dog crew members. That was Commander Rinsler we flew into.
07,
I'll remind
07,
you.
07.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you were trying to interdict them. Or you
were trying
to interdict random traders. You were going to pull them out of Super Cruise just to tell them about how awesome Radio Sidewinder is, and then lo and behold, SDC starts interdicting you, and you just
actually they didn't even start interdicting me. They just got me over comms, and they started saying increasingly worrying things that made me jump out of the system. So, I mean, I was just going to tell them how great Radio Sidewinder is, which, I mean, they obviously already know if they're aware of, the best radio station, but...
I mean, Radio Sidewinder is pretty fantastic.
I think they are... I do know that they are fans of the station. However, if you're flying around... that doesn't mean anything. So
yeah, this is Smiling Dog Crew we're talking about, not just run-of-the-mill pirates.
They definitely like testing people's ejection pods. So they'll just do it for fun. So it's no big deal to them. It is they know, oh, you got an ejection pod, okay.
I have a theory. They're actually on some back channels employed by the Pilots Federation insurance companies. Because they need to get some money back from all that money.
Tinfoil hat theory.
I mean, for every Corvette that goes down, they just pull another one out. What is your insurance payment, if you don't mind, Felix?
Mine right now, I think, is 14 million credits ish.
So I mean, if I were to say hire some people to kill Felix over and over again, and I got a 14 million credits every time, I think that would be worth it. Just give them half. Go from
right.
there.
Yeah.
Well, that's nothing we can prove, unfortunately, and until then we can still hold them off. But I believe you actually had one of our friends who just got out of Pilots Federation, Commander Elmer, with you on your ship, right?
Oh, yeah. He recently just graduated. He's still in the Sidewinder, right?
He is, but he is considerably richer thanks to our efforts. I think it's good that we can help him out. This new Salome technology that's been implemented makes it a lot easier. He doesn't have to risk his ship, but at the same time, I don't know if he'll find it as rewarding when he gets into his, his Viper or his Python eventually. I mean, I don't know. He's just busy smashing my fighters into asteroids until then.
No, they're pretty cheap, right? I mean,
they are pretty cheap, but I mean, you get you're in someone else's big ship. You have fun with their fighters, and then you get millions of credits over time. I mean, he does get a considerable amount less. It's not like I'm paying him the same amount that I'm paying out to myself. But at the same time, I mean, when I first got out of Pilots Federation, I had to work for my first Eagle and then eventually a Viper, and I was just so excited. I was like, wow, this is such a big ship. And now I don't really think that, but I do remember the journey getting to where I am today.
Yeah, it makes me sound very old, but yeah, I remember the grind from Sidewinder to Cobra. I mean, that was a lot of illegal palladium that was being run through. So
for me,
yeah, it's a little easier these days. I mean, it makes me sound like I'm 150. It's definitely a little easier for people to get a foothold in the galaxy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, what I'm wondering though is, do you think that even though yes, they can be piloting fighters, just because they have the money to buy the ships, do you think they're going to be able to actually fly them and maintain them and like actually own a big ship? Because if they're only used to flying fighters and maybe they're Sidewinder and then they hop into like an Anaconda, those are like two completely different ships. So
oh yeah, I remember first time I got into an Anaconda wasn't even my Anaconda. I was visiting one of my friends at his port, and he said, go ahead, take it out for a spin. There's a res site right over there, fire some shots off. I brought that thing back into the station with like 30% hull, and he's like, what happened? Like, I've never flown anything this big before. Now, I can whip him in and out of asteroid, pull some pretty fast maneuvers. I mean, especially for an Anaconda, we all know those aren't fast or quick, but, I've got my handle on it, but it does take some practice. I wonder how it's going to affect pilots going straight from a Sidewinder into like a bigger ship rather than a medium-sized ship. But
really, the factor of you've been a hologram so long that you don't care about whether or not the ship you're on dies. I mean, there's a lot of people that forget that they're really there, I think, and then end up actually losing their ship and possibly, hurting or killing themselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing to be in a ship and run it into an asteroid and have it explode and go ha ha ha, and then wait for another fighter to be put into the fighter bay. But I don't think they're going to be so
cold
careless.
Ride home.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be so careless once they start paying out those larger insurance premiums. Again, that ties around. I'm telling you, SDC is going to have a field day with these newer pilots.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've heard it recently. There was, I don't think it was SDC, but there were some people that were, some pirates that were just hanging around Acellus Primus and just killing people in Sidewinders.
Actually, there's been quite a lot of people around Acellus Primus, which we all know the Pilots Federation ground trainees come out of. That's where they give them their SRVs and stuff like that. And some people choose not to go that route. They want to stick mostly to space travel, and then the Pilots Federation will set them up in LHS 3447. But we got a lot of pirates hanging around those areas recently, just trying to freak out Sidewinders and these new pilots. So maybe in a way, this is also a good way for them to kind of escape that initial terror of just being worried about like, oh, you're just trying to get started, being destroyed. This way they have a way to build up some, and they can go and grab that bigger ship, maybe protect themselves a bit better, get some combat experience while they're at it.
I remember I lost several Sidewinders in the beginning in Aerovate and LHS because there's just murder hobos hanging out in Vipers waiting for you to bring your little Sidewinder through. So yeah, it is very scary being a new commander. You're thrown out there with everything. So in a way, it may be a little bit more protective, but there's definitely a lot of experience that you miss out on, and it makes you a better pilot going through it.
I will say, it definitely makes me feel good though, showing off a bit. Elmer got into the game, and then he was like, he was in his Sidewinder, and he parked on the surface of Acellus, and I'm like, hey, we'll meet up, and then maybe you can get in my ship. We'll go fly around, get you some money, or get you something to get started. And I just positioned myself. So he was sitting there in a Sidewinder waiting for me. I positioned myself so that as I went over him, just this massive shadow just went over his ship. And it's a fun moment to see how some of these young or new pilots, you know, they look at it and they realize I can be in that one day. And that, you know, that makes them really get more invested, I think.
Yeah. Well, and also it's, of course, the benefit to us is we get more eyes on our ships and more hands on our ship to, you know, manage our systems and defend us.
Oh yeah, he knew
and
how
all
to,
that. So
he knew how to make my distributor far more efficient than it was before. He was helping manage that power level, and I don't know. I don't think I've seen my shields hold up quite as long while firing as many weapons before. You know, it seems to be pretty helpful in the long run for us. As well as he said he'd cover part of the insurance payment if I went down. Now he didn't have to, but you know.
Yeah,
it's nice to know.
But still, it's nice,
there.
Right. Especially when you're fronting a 14 or upwards of like 20 million insurance claim costs. So,
well, I think that is about all the time we have today for Radio Sidewinder.
Yeah, but be sure to check out our crew, which is based in Tago and has spread, I believe, to many systems. Like, what was that newest one that we just got?
Our newest one is HR 5706. So
wow, okay. Yeah, and so I mean, we seem to be growing pretty rapidly, but still, more commanders would be better. But like Commander Steven said, that's all we have time for. Thank you, Commander Arbitration, for joining us this week.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Be sure to listen to the next week's episode of the Radio Sidewinder Talk Show.
All right, this is Commander Steven Atronach signing off.
Arbitration signing off.
And I'm Commander Felix Jefferson signing off. Fly safe, Commander.
Radio Sidewinder.